Welcome back, horror fans. Today we're unlocking the doors of one of the most chilling, puzzling, and mysterious horror films ever made. Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, 1980. On the surface, it's a story about a family trapped in a haunted hotel. But behind the scenes, things were far stranger than fiction. From bizarre production choices to creepy coincidences, this movie has spawned decades of myths and theories. Fact 1. Stephen King hated Kubrick's version. Most writers dream of seeing their book turned into a classic film. Not Stephen King. He absolutely hated Kubrick's version of The Shining. King believed Kubrick stripped away the emotional core of the novel. In his book, Jack Torrance is a flawed but sympathetic man, a recovering alcoholic struggling with fatherhood. In the film, Nicholson's Jack feels unhinged almost immediately. King said this made his downfall less tragic and more predictable. He even went so far as to call the movie a Cadillac with no engine, stylish but soulless. That hatred burned so strongly that King later wrote and produced a 1997 TV miniseries to correct Kubrick's vision. Fact 2. Jack Nicholson's misery diet. To make Jack Torrance seem irritable and unstable, Nicholson came up with a personal torture method, a diet of nothing but cheese sandwiches. Here's the kicker. Cheese sandwiches were one of his least favorite foods. For weeks on end, every bite made him angrier and more uncomfortable. That simmering hostility, it wasn't all acting. It was Nicholson genuinely suffering through every meal. It's one of those weird method acting tricks that seems small, but when you watch him snap at Wendy, you can almost feel the irritation bubbling out of him. Part acting, part lactose-fueled misery. Fact 3. Shelley Duvall was broken by Kubrick's direction. No one had it worse than Shelley Duvall. Kubrick deliberately isolated her from the rest of the cast and crew. He told the camera operators not to sympathize with her, not to comfort her, and not to ease the pressure. His reasoning? He wanted her real-life exhaustion, paranoia, and despair to bleed into her performance as Wendy Torrance. The stress was so extreme that her hair began falling out during production. She developed nervous exhaustion, cried daily, and later described the shoot as almost unbearable. Those trembling hands, those tears in her eyes, they're not just acting. They're Shelley Duvall being pushed to the breaking point. Fact 4. Here's Johnny. Wasn't in the script. Jack Nicholson's most famous line was never written down. During the bathroom door scene, Nicholson suddenly shouted, "Here's Johnny!"
Here's Johnny!
Mimicking Ed McMahon's famous intro for Johnny Carson's Tonight Show. Kubrick, being British, didn't even understand the reference. He almost cut it, but thankfully left it in. Now it's cinema history. Fact 5. Real doors, real axes, real terror. That bathroom scene wasn't staged with flimsy breakaway props. Nicholson was chopping through actual solid doors. Because he once worked as a volunteer firefighter, he was so skilled that he demolished each one in seconds. The crew had to replace door after door. In total, more than 60 doors were destroyed. Fact 6. The film took over a year to shoot. Most horror films are shot in a few months. The Shining dragged on for over a year. The endless takes, rewrites, and Kubrick's obsessive perfectionism wore everyone down. By the end, Nicholson was so tired of constant changes that he stopped reading new script pages. He knew Kubrick would rewrite them before filming anyway. Fact 7. The script changed every day. Speaking of scripts, imagine showing up to work only to be told, "Forget what you memorized, here's a new version." That was daily life on set. Nicholson called the script a living nightmare because nothing stayed the same. The confusion and instability may have been intentional. Kubrick wanted the cast as disoriented as their characters. Fact 8. Danny didn't know he was in a horror movie. Danny Lloyd, the child actor, was only 6 years old. Kubrick protected him by telling him the film was a family drama, not a horror movie. He didn't even see the actual film until he was a teenager. When you watch his performance, the fear in his eyes, it's incredible to realize he had no idea he was in a horror classic. Fact 9. The hedge maze wasn't outside. That chilling chase through the snowy hedge maze, it wasn't filmed outdoors. The entire maze was built inside Elstree Studios in England. The stage lights made it blisteringly hot, even though the actors were bundled in winter coats. The illusion of freezing terror was actually a set filled with people sweating under giant lamps. Fact 10. The blood elevator took a year to get right. That unforgettable scene of an elevator gushing with blood, Kubrick obsessed over it for a full year. Each take required weeks of preparation. The first few attempts failed because the blood didn't flow properly. When Kubrick finally approved it, he declared, "Now it looks like blood." It's still one of the most surreal images in horror. Fact 11. Danny's red rum came from practice games. To help Danny Lloyd with the creepy red rum scene, Kubrick turned it into a fun little game. Danny practiced writing the word backward over and over. What was playtime for him turned into one of the film's most terrifying reveals when the mirror flips it into murder. Fact 12. The bat scene broke a record. When Wendy defends herself with a baseball bat, Duvall had to endure 127 takes. It's in the Guinness World Records as the most takes ever shot for a scene with dialogue. By the end, her arms were shaking, her voice hoarse, and her exhaustion absolutely real. Kubrick wanted her at her breaking point, and he got it. Fact 13. Nicholson destroyed props in anger. In one scene, Nicholson's fury boiled over so intensely that he smashed a phone to pieces, a real prop, not meant to break. Kubrick loved the authenticity and kept it in the film. It's a reminder that Nicholson wasn't just acting, he was channeling his actual frustration with the endless shoot. Fact 14. The carpet that haunts your eyes. The bold hexagon carpet pattern in the Overlook Hotel is now horror iconography. It's been copied in Toy Story, parodied in video games, and even turned into merchandise. Psychologists say the design unsettles people because the shapes don't align naturally with our vision, creating a subconscious sense of imbalance. Fact 15. Fake scripts with fake endings. Kubrick was notorious for secrecy. To prevent leaks, he printed fake scripts with fake endings. Some versions had Wendy killing Jack, others had the hotel burning down. Even the cast didn't know the true ending until filming. It was Kubrick's way of controlling not just the narrative, but the perception of the narrative. The actors were kept in suspense, just like the audience. Fact 16. Scatman Crothers was driven to tears. Scatman Crothers, who played Halloran, was a seasoned performer, but Kubrick's methods broke him down. For a simple dialogue scene with Danny, Kubrick demanded 148 takes. Crothers became so frustrated that he wept on set, begging Kubrick to let him stop. Nicholson later said he'd never seen an actor so devastated by a director's demands. Yet that pain may explain why Crothers' character feels so weary and haunted. Fact 17. From Razzies to Masterpiece. Believe it or not, when The Shining was released, critics weren't impressed. Shelley Duvall was nominated for Worst Actress and Kubrick for Worst Director at the Razzie Awards. Today, of course, it's hailed as a masterpiece, proof that critics don't always get it right. Fact 18. Real snowstorms were filmed for authenticity. Kubrick sent crews to film real blizzards in the US. Those snowy hotel shots you see outside the Overlook were real winter storms combined with the indoor maze set. The result looks seamless, a perfect illusion of an isolated snowbound hotel. Fact 19. Every all work and no play page was typed by hand. When Wendy discovers Jack's manuscript, the pages repeating "all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy" are genuinely typed. Hundreds of them. Kubrick refused to photocopy, insisting every page be hand-typed by his staff. For international releases, he even had the phrase translated into French, Italian, and Spanish, so audiences worldwide could share the same chill. Fact 20. The ending photo still confuses everyone. The final shot shows Jack Torrance smiling in a 1921 photograph at the Overlook Hotel. Was he reincarnated, consumed by the hotel's evil, or always part of it? Kubrick never explained, fueling conspiracy theories about time loops, ghosts, and even government secrets. Over 40 years later, fans are still debating what it really means, and maybe that's the scariest part of all.
As soon as possible! As soon as possible! Jack!
And there you have it, 20 strange, chilling, and fascinating facts about The Shining. From grueling production stories to improvised lines and mysterious final shots, this film proves that sometimes the real horror happens behind the camera. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into the darkest corners of cinema.